So, do you need to vote in the presidential election? Do you need to vote, period? Yes, you do. If you want to be part of this audience, you do. I'll tell you right now, if you're going to argue to me that voting doesn't matter, that you don't want to be, whatever it is, I'm going to say something really controversial for this sort of thing, I think. You can go away. If you won't participate in the system, if you won't be part of the solution, then you don't get to be a part of bitching about it. Okay? Voting is one of the primary responsibilities of being a citizen. Okay? I have, in the groups that I've run in the past, I've regularly told them that I will uninvite anybody if at the first time they get to elections, when they get to elections after they've joined my groups, if they don't bother to vote, then they can just leave. It's okay. They can find someplace else to be. Why? Because it matters. It actually does matter. We've had elections in this country regularly trade on one vote. Okay? If you go back to the Bush election, going into election night, when we had hanging chads and all that stuff, some of you may be too young to remember, I don't know. But when you went into that night of the never-ending election night there, and it drug on and on and on through all of the court battles and everything that were going on in Florida, all of that was handling over 100 votes. I mean, it was going back and forth over 150, 200 votes, back and forth, this sort of thing. Every dang vote mattered. And you know what? Going into that election, we all didn't, nobody had told us that it was all going to come down to a few people in Florida were going to get to decide everything. Right? That's not how it started out. It's way harder going into election night for president to know exactly what matters where, because you're in a situation where we have the Electoral College, which I highly support the Electoral College. We'll talk about that sometime, I'm sure. But the Electoral College means that you don't always know. It's difficult because some of us live in places where the chances that my vote for president actually matters is really low. Okay? I live in Washington State. I live in a state that's going to vote for Biden, okay? They're going to vote for Biden, and because it's a winner-take-all state, like most states are, all Biden has to do is get one more vote here, and all the Electoral College votes in Washington State are going to go to Biden, okay? Which means that if you live east of the Cascade Mountains, your presidential vote doesn't matter. Well, yes, it does. It matters because we're going to spend the next 4 years bitching about what happened. Okay? And if you weren't part of the process, you remove yourself from the right to bitch about it. Okay? It's going to be a discussion either way. You're going to be affected by what's going on, and so you need to vote. You need to vote in all of the things that are under that. So voting is definitely going to matter. It's going to matter a lot. And it should matter to you. Find your ballot. Register to vote if you still can in the place that you are. In Washington State, you still can. Don't know when you're going to see this, but when you see this, register to vote and get out there and vote. And, oh, by the way, people of my group, you can vote for anybody. Okay? There are people, I know after listening to this, you'd be a little surprised, but there are people in this group who are still going to vote for Biden. Okay? They're going to take a hard time for me. That's the way it is. But they're tough. If they hang out with me very much and they're voting for Biden, they're already tough. Okay? And you know what? I certainly don't hate them for voting for them. They cancel out my vote and I cancel out theirs, and fine. That's the way it's going to be. It's okay. That's how the system works. But I'm going to make them to defend why they voted for him. Okay? But either way, you need to be a part of the process and get out there and vote.